welcome to Beginner's Yoga. I'm Chris, and it is September 30th, the last day of September. It seemed to go by pretty quickly. And this is, I think I said it already, Beginner's Yoga. So tonight, if you could have a strap, and if you have a tennis ball or a small basketball at home, that could be useful for rolling around on the ball a bit and working into our muscles. But let's start in a seated position. So find your seat and let's just kind of drop into the reality of our body and our breath. So find a place to sit where you can allow yourself to be grounded and heavy in your seat, and feel your spine rising up, lengthening up. And let's just bring our attention to our breath. So breathing in and out through the nose. Starting to feel the breath as it enters into your lungs and how that changes the shape of your rib cage, how your belly's moving with the breath. So just taking some conscious breaths. Noticing if you have any tension in your jaw that you could soften, or in your neck, letting your shoulders relax away from your ears. And just feeling how when you take a breath in, your rib cage expands, and you can feel all those little connective tissues and muscles in between your ribs stretching. You can feel your breath in the back of your body, the sides, in the front. So having a more kind of full experience of the breath. And then just begin to move a little bit, circling around, still being conscious of the breath. Just kind of stirring your spine around in one direction. And then switch directions, just starting to kind of awaken our bodies for the next hour and 15 minutes of movement. And it's 7 o'clock, so taking it easy. It's a beginner class. Circling around, coming back to center. And then just rocking a little bit from side to side. Maybe letting your head move a little bit from side to side. And then you could bring your left hand down to the floor and reach the right arm up and over. And just relaxing your left shoulder and feeling the stretch from the sit bone, which is grounding. I'm sitting on a cushion, so for me it's grounding into the cushion, all the way up through the fingertips. And then coming over to the other side, bringing the right hand down, lengthening up through the left arm. You could turn your palm facing towards the back of the room, relax your right shoulder. Just another breath there. Coming back up to center, and let's twist. So bringing right hand to the left knee, just an easy twist. Breathing. And then the arms can come up, left hand can come to the right knee. Turning your spine. Just go back and forth a couple of times, letting your arms move. And then come back to center and sweep your arms up. Lengthening up, and just reach up, feeling from your sit bones all the way up through the fingertips, lifting your gaze. And then bring the hands together at the heart. And you could just pause for a moment. You might want to take a moment to set an intention for your practice this evening. Could be something simple, like just being more conscious of the breath, or you might have something more specific that you'd like to dedicate your practice to. Just kind of working with that idea of intention. sometimes when we set an intention, it's easy to forget it quickly. So see if tonight maybe you can touch back on it from time to time. I will remind you. So let's come to hands and knees. And let's just make some circles, your own shapes, bringing the hips back and around and forward. Maybe the hips go to one side and the head goes to the other. And breathing as you're moving. And then you might switch the direction of those circles. You can be creative. There's not a right way to do it. And then coming back to center, walk your hands forward and come into prayer pose, lifting your hips. And you could kind of broaden the middle of your back by sort of wrapping your elbows in and your armpits in. And take a breath or two here, maybe connecting with the intention you set here. Really feeling the breath in the back of your body here. And then walking the hands back in. And let's come up to stand at the front of the mat. And actually, before we do anything, let's roll out our feet so that we can really feel our feet on the floor. So tennis ball is good for this. So come to stand, to bring your toes, let's say of the right foot, over the ball and just press and release. Most people have a tennis ball around, but if you don't, maybe you could get one. They're pretty handy. If you have a dog, you might have one around. I have at least 2 or 3 tennis balls under every couch and bed in my house. So pressing and releasing. I'm actually gonna move the camera up a little higher. Excuse my hands. So moving down the outer edge of the foot, pressing and releasing into the heel, and then into the arch of the foot. I'm just kind of feeling around into the different spots, into the ball of the foot, and then back, kind of as if you're going to spread your toes around the ball. And then switch your feet. Again, starting with your toes and the ball of the foot and working your way down the outer edge of the foot. And into the arch, pressing and releasing. Giving yourself a little massage, breaking up some of the fuzz. Coming into the heel and back up into the arch of the foot. And back to the ball of the foot and the toes. And then just step off. You can just roll the ball out of the way. And come and just stand and feel your feet. How do your feet feel now that you've kind of awakened them? You might be able to feel the surface that you're standing on a little bit more. Might be a little more sensitive. So spread your toes and feel the places where the soles of your feet touch the floor. And then coming into your standing mountain pose, you could ground yourself, maybe a soft bend in your knees. You could roll the shoulders back, palms forward. And again, we're just finding a neutral spine here, so lengthening down through your tailbone and lifting up through pubic bone, through sternum, and finally up through the crown of the head, sweeping your arms up, reaching up, and taking a few breaths here. So continuing to stay with this sensation of lengthening down through the sacrum and up through the front of your body, through the pubic bone, sternum, maybe lifting the gaze. So we're keeping this neutral spine. a little bit of, perhaps a little bit of a back bend in the upper back if you can. And then sweeping your arms down and coming into your forward bend. So knees stay bent. Taking a few breaths here. Nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. Keep the neck long, also neutral, so we're not letting the head drop forward or cranking the chin up, just keeping it nice and neutral. And then let's sweep the arms up again. Reach up, lengthen up. Take a nice deep breath. And exhale, come forward again. Lengthening the spine, feeling the big hinge at the front of the hips. Head and shoulders stay lifted, so your hands could be wherever they can land and still keep your spine neutral. Feel the breath in the back of your body. Feeling the rib cage moving with the breath. Belly moving. And one more time up. Sweep the arms up. Lengthen up. Inhale. And exhale, come forward one more time. Maybe you could let your head relax a little bit and just kind of shake the head. No and yes. Just let it go. See if you can let your neck traction a tiny bit. And then let's step the left foot back. Bringing the knee down and bringing your weight back up and up over the left knee. Sweep your arms out and up. Reaching up. So again, grounding here through tailbone, lengthening up through pubic bone, up through the sternum. You could lift the gaze, find your breath, find something to gaze at. So finding a gazing point and finding that soft gaze helps you to stay focused and to stay in the pose, feeling your breath. And then you could take your hand over to your left hip and take a little side bend. So bring the right arm up. You could lift the gaze and then come back up. Sweep your hands back, clasp your hands behind you. And just stretch into the front of the chest a bit. Then release the hands and come back to your hands and knees again. And let's do a couple of cat-cows. And the next time you come into your cat pose, you might try coming up onto fingertips and rounding your spine, lifting the belly. And then release that. Turn your hands back so the fingertips are facing towards you. And you could sit back towards your heels. Just watch for the rounding of your shoulders here. Just let your shoulder and then putting body weight because it's too much. So just a little of the opposite. And then shake your hands out. Shake them out. And let's set up for a down dog. So spread your hands, wrap the elbows in, draw the hips back, tuck your toes, and lift up. You could keep your knees bent. And just bending into one knee and the other. Feeling into your ankles and the feet and the heels. Finding the right spot for the hips. And just pause for a moment, keeping your head lifted. Bring your knees down and come all the way down onto your belly. Bringing your forearms forward. Coming into Sphinx pose. So you can feel how that lower back can get pretty compressed here. So you can that by lifting your belly and pointing your tailbone back towards your heels, kind of lengthening out the low back. And then you could let your arms come forward and reach forward for a moment, and then sweep the arms back, clasp your hands, and roll the chest up. And then just a little side to side action. Coming over onto the left side, rolling onto your side, feeling your shoulder blades sliding down the back of your rib cage. And releasing, bringing hands under the shoulders, pressing back up, and lifting the tail, coming back to your downward facing dog. And then from here, we're going to step the left foot forward and bring the right knee down. So we're coming into the low lunge with the knee down. Sweep the arms out and up. Again, grounding down through tailbone, lifting up through the heart, breathing. Bringing your right hand to your right hip and taking a little side bend. You could also try the side bend in the opposite direction. So bring left hand to left hip. I think that's a little better. I think that's what I did on the other side. And then coming back up. And step your foot in. So to be on your knees. Bring the hands back to the sacrum. Lift the heart. Come into camel pose. So draw your elbows back, pressing your hips forward and lengthening up. So not left elbow on top of the right. So you can be on your knees, sitting back on your heels. Letting your fingertips lift. Elbows lift and shoulders are sliding. You could turn a little bit towards the right, keeping the shoulder blades sliding. Nice steady breath. And then coming back to center, unwinding the arms, bringing the right elbow on top of left. And turning towards the left. Elbows and fingers, tips lifting as the shoulder blades slide down the back. And opening the arms. You could lift your heart and open your chest. Sweep the arms up. So take a breath here, just recalling the intention that you set at the beginning of class. And then let's come back to hands and knees again. And let's reach back through the right foot, press back through the heel. Keeping the hips level, let your left arm come forward, thumb is pointing up. Belly cinching in, lift the top of your left foot for a little bit more, breathing. A little bit of balancing and release it and just circle the hips. And then come back to hands and knees, and we'll reach back through the left foot, press back strongly through your heel, feeling the back of the leg, reaching the right arm forward, thumb is pointing up, start finding your breath, let it be nice and deep. You could lift the top of the right foot off the floor for a little more core work. And release it, and just circle your hips in one direction, hips off the rib cage. And then come back to center. And let's try balancing on the left side. So we'll lift the right foot, press back, and then try lifting your right arm. Trying to keep your sacrum level, so you're not lifting on the right side. It's a little different. Release it. Circle the hips. and then come back to center, and then we'll try going over to the right. So lift your left leg, start with the leg, find your balance, and then lift your left arm. And release it. And circle. And then let's extend the right leg out to the side. So your toes are pointing straight forward. And just come into it's not really a twist, but opening up your chest. So the left shoulder is stacked over the wrist. You could lift your gaze. Just keep your neck long. Reaching. And then bring that hand down and step that leg in. And then we'll extend the left leg. The toes of your left foot could be pointing forward, and lift the left arm, opening the chest. So stacking your right shoulder over the wrist. Come up to the knees, and let's extend the right leg out to the side. You can have a block for under your hand if you need to. Let your fingertips come to the floor. The right arm comes up and over. So you're really in kind of like a side plank, but you have your knee down. But it's more of a stretch. You can feel the stretch all the way from the sole of the right foot up through the fingertips. And then bring the hand down, step that foot in. And there's no right way to get in and out of the pose here, so just be careful. We're trying to get that nice stretch up the side of our body, but not tweaking anything. So you can use blocks if you need to. Reaching your left arm up and over. I'm on my fingertips. I could come down onto my hand. So feel that nice stretch all the way up the left side from the sole of the foot through the fingertips. And then you might just turn down and bring your hand down and then step the foot in. And again, let's do a little bit of cat-cow. So just kind of coming back to center. And then let's grab our strap. Whoops. So getting our strap. And bring the strap into your hands a little wider than, if your elbows will be bent a little, hands a little wider than the elbows. So standing up tall, standing mountain pose, and just bringing the arms up and over a couple times, moving through the various positions of the shoulder blades. So here, the shoulder blades are sliding down, then we lift them up, and bring them forward and over and bring them down again. So retracting them, letting them slide down, and protracting them, bringing them forward. The next time you come back, you could pause, and you might feel like even though there is some retraction going on, you're bringing your shoulder blades closer to each other. Maybe you can also kind of find your spot, and then almost like you're widening them apart from each other. And release that. And let's set the strap down. We'll use it again. Just let your arms hang. Doing a little twisting. And coming back to stand at the front of your mat. This time, let's roll down. So if you have lower back pain, you might not want to do this. You might want to come down with a flat back, but this is like an intentional rounding of the spine. So draw the belly in, tuck your chin, let that be the first thing, your neck, and then just slowly, as you draw your belly in, bend your knees and roll down. Bend your knees quite a bit as you do this. When you come down, then bring your hands onto the shins or the thighs and find your neutral spine. And then you could bend your knees a lot, release your arms, let your head hang, round, draw the belly in, and roll up, letting your head be the last thing to come up. And then maybe a little kind of cat-cow, bring the arms forward, round, and then arch the back, open the chest, round, draw the belly in, and then open, arch the back. One more time, bending the knees a little bit, rounding, and then opening, lifting up, arms can float up. Exhale, come forward with a long spine, neutral spine. And then we'll step the left foot to the back of the mat and come up into warrior one. The back heel lifted, the back knee is bent. You can bring your hands to your hips here. So feet are hip width. And then sweep the arms up here. And just take a couple of breaths. Come a little deeper into the bend of the front knee. Maybe you lift your gaze. Find your breath. Remember your intention for practice. Remember it now. And then exhale your arms down and step back to downward facing dog. Bending into one knee and the other. Just coming back to your downward facing dog. Let's come forward into plank pose. Keeping the head lifted. Taking a breath, lifting belly. Bring your knees down, come all the way down onto your belly. And let's reach the hands back, clasp your hands, lift your toes, lift your chest, come up into locust pose. Breathing here. Nice steady breath, steady gaze, feeling all those muscles around the spine working. Belly's lifting. And release and just rock the hips a little bit from side to side. And then hands under the shoulders, elbows tucked in. Come back up to downward facing dog. And then we'll step the left foot forward for warrior one on the other side. So bending the right knee, finding your neutral spine, letting the arms come up. Feet are hip width. Nice steady breath, steady gaze. And then we'll step forward one more time into forward bend. Taking a breath or two here, looking down at your feet. Feet are parallel, hip width. You might walk your feet together. Walk the feet closer together. And see what it feels like to have the feet right side by side. And then sweep the arms up with the feet right together. Hands together at your heart. And then step the feet apart. Maybe this time step them the width of the mat, so a little wider than the hips. Lift the arms and come forward into a forward bend with a little wider stance this time. It's okay to have your knees bent. You could sway a little bit from side to side. And then you can turn the toes out a bit and see if you can come into a squat, if that's part of your practice. So if squatting is really difficult for you, you might stay up a little higher. It's a little bit more work, but it's not going to hurt your knees, and you'll be able to keep your heels on the floor. And then let's come out of it, come into a forward bend. Taking a breath. And from here, let's come down onto the floor. And I'm going to come a little closer to the camera. So let's come, I'm going to actually move the camera down because we're going to do a bunch of stuff on the floor. So we're going to come into a seated twist. So let's start with the right leg on top. So we'll extend the left leg. We'll start with the right leg just on the, right on the inside of the left inner thigh, and sit up tall. So you might wrap your right elbow around the knee and use that as leverage to find your spine. And then you could wrap your left elbow around the right knee and reach the right hand back. Sitting up tall, so extending your left leg and feel some energy in that leg. The toes are pointing straight up. You're flexing your foot. Breathing, just feeling the spine turning. You might turn and look back over the left shoulder, and then turn the head back and look over the right shoulder as best you can, and then release it. Then step the right foot onto the outside of your left thigh, and take the twist again. So nice steady breath. Look back over the left shoulder, and then turn the head back over the right shoulder, unwinding the twist. Extend your right leg, and let's come into a little bit of a forward bend. So hands come maybe to the floor. You could also use a strap to help find extension of your arms, so that you don't have to round your spine at all. And then we'll do the other side. So drawing your left knee in, bringing it onto the inside of the right thigh, sitting up tall. Just finding your spine. There's a little spider. And then wrap your right elbow around the left knee, bring your left hand back, come into the twist. Turn your head and look over the right shoulder. Sitting up tall, and then turn and look over the left shoulder, leading with your cheekbone rather than with the chin. And then unwinding. Then step the foot over onto the other side of your right thigh and sit up tall. And then wrap the elbow again around the knee, bringing the left hand back. Breathing, so some energy in your right leg. Turn and look over the right shoulder, and then back over the left shoulder. And release it. Extend your left leg. You could bring your hands back and just kind of bend the knees. Then sitting up tall, reaching forward with your hands. Let's do some rollbacks. So just slowly, with your legs staying on the floor, drawing the belly in, rolling back. Go slow. And you could bring the arms up and over. Stretch your body, then reach the hands straight up. Look at your toes. Roll back up. And we'll come down again. If you want a little bit more effort, you could bring your arms up and clasp elbows. So we're rolling down slowly, keeping the legs on the floor. They're going to slide a bit, but keep them on the floor. Don't let them pop up. Rolling all the way down onto your back, stretching your arms up. And then draw the knees into the chest. And rock a little bit side to side. So we're going to take the mat and bring it back behind your knees and sit, just bringing it back into the calf and sitting on that mat. Hang on one sec here. Sorry, I'm having a little interference with my phone. There we go. So I'm just feeling that, the mat pressing into the calves and the backs of the thighs. Breathing. And then come forward and take the mat out and come back to sit. I'm just going to set this off to the side. And again, you could just kind of let your knees bend and let's roll back again and draw the knees into the chest. Let's bring the arms out to the sides and your feet up. Press your tailbone towards the floor. So feel your neutral spine here, kind of relaxing your upper body. Let's start by letting the feet go from side to side. So keep your sacrum on the floor. So let the lower back stay pinned to the floor and let your feet kind of tick-tock back and forth, side to side. And you'll start to feel feel how your belly and the muscles of your core are controlling this movement. So just a few more times, side to side, keeping the back pressing into the floor. And then draw the knees into the chest. You could come into kind of like a frog position, so just taking the knees wide. Maybe the hands come to the knees or to the inner thighs. And then draw the knees back in and bring the arms out to the sides and the feet up again. And then we will let's actually start with the left knee bent and the sole of the left foot on the floor, arms out to the sides. So let's, as we bring the heel down towards the floor, exhale all the air out. And then lift the diaphragm here as you hold the leg out. So you can feel it kind of sucking up under the rib cage. Inhale, bring it back up. Let's do that again, a diaphragm lift. So exhale all the air out. Let the diaphragm lift up underneath the rib cage. So your belly is scooping. Inhale, bring the leg back up. Let's do it one more time. Exhale all the air out. Bring the heel towards the floor and let it hover. And then diaphragm lift. And then draw that knee in towards the chest. And then we'll switch. We'll bring the sole of the right foot down. We'll bring the left leg up. Turn the toes out. Arms out to the sides. Exhale all the air out as you bring the heel towards the floor. Diaphragm lift. Inhale the leg back up. Exhale all the air out. Heel hovers above the floor. Diaphragm lift. Hold the breath out. Inhale back up. Release the diaphragm, lift. One more time, exhale all the air out. Diaphragm lift. Hold the air out. And inhale as you lift the leg, draw the knee in towards the chest. And then bring the other knee in. Just rocking a little bit. Let's take the right ankle on top of the left knee. You can take your hands kind of into the tops of the thighs and actually take both feet on the floor and do that. So press into the tops of the thighs a little bit, just sort of tractioning your spine. And you could even do a little diaphragm lift there. And then let's bring the right ankle up on top of the left knee. Flex your right foot. And bring your hands back behind the left thigh. Rocking from side to side. I like to rock here just slowly. And then come back to center. Bring your left foot down and flip-flop your legs. So bring your left ankle on top of the right knee. Reaching back behind your right thigh. Maybe pressing your elbow into the inner left thigh. And maybe rocking. Keep your tailbone pressing back towards the floor. Just feeling it in your outer hips. And then release that. And drop both knees in for a moment. And then let's take the strap. So staying on our backs, let's take the strap under the sole of the right foot. You can keep your left knee bent to begin with. Straightening the right leg up, using the strap to kind of give our arms an extension so that we can relax our shoulders. So feel for your lower back to be pinned to the floor so it's not rolling up as you pull the leg back. Find your breath, and you might also pause to recall your intention here, your intention for practice if you set one. So feeling the stretch in the back of the right leg. So I want to do this on our back, and then I want to stand up, and I'd like to do it standing as well. So take the strap into the right hand, extend your left leg, and you could bring your left arm out to the side, and then let your right leg come over towards the right, so you're stretching into the inner thigh, kind of tucking your hip under. And so there has to be a little bit of work to keep your body from collapsing over to the right, so there's some engagement in the core of the body. Then bringing the leg back up and switching hands, bringing the strap into the left hand, and keeping sacrum on the floor. So keep your lower back on the floor, let the foot come across the body without lifting the hip. Take your thumb into the hip crease and draw it down. And then let that foot come over further. You might extend your right arm out to the side, coming into the twist. Keeping the shoulders on the floor. And then bring that leg back up. And then bring the left foot up into the strap. So both feet are in the strap for a moment. And then take the right foot out, bring the sole of the right foot down to the floor. And bending the right knee, press the sacrum into the floor, find your neutral spine, and work from there. So drawing the foot back towards you without rolling up in the low back. Find your nice steady breath. And then extend the right leg. And then taking strap into the left hand and the right arm out to the right. Let your foot come out towards the left, opening up into the stretch of the inner thigh muscles. And then bringing that foot back up. Switch hands. Bring the strap into the right hand, left arm out to the side. And the left leg's coming across your body, but you're keeping your sacrum, your lower back on the floor. So bring it over as far as you can. Take a breath or two. And then lift the lower back, coming into the twist. You can take your thumb and help kind of roll that hip down. Breathing here. And bring the leg back up. And draw your knees in again, just rolling a little side to side. And then let's keep the strap handy here. We're going to do some standing poses with a strap. So rolling up, coming up. You might roll a couple times. And come all the way up. And let's take the strap. We're going to stand. We'll start on standing on the left foot. And so you may be able to hold onto your foot with your hand, or you may need a strap to do that. So we'll try standing on the left foot and holding onto the strap with the right hand. So we'll start with the leg extended, and then bring it out to the side. This is tricky. So I'm actually going to hold on to my foot. And you could use a strap as well. So we're just doing this on the floor, and then you might bring your foot into the left hand with a strap or with the hand on the foot and come into the twist. I'm going to turn this way. I'm not doing so well with my balance here, but so we were doing this on the floor, now we're doing it standing. Using a strap or holding your foot, and then release it and just circle your knees, ankles, toes, hips. Let's try standing on the right foot. So again, you could use the strap or you can use your hand on your foot, but we're going to find our upright spine. So take the strap into the left hand. If you're standing on the right foot, holding the left foot up. I'm going to turn here, and then we'll open the leg out to the side. Breathing. And then maybe the foot comes back and the strap comes into the right hand or the sole of the foot, coming into the twist. Don't forget to breathe. And release it. Let's set the strap down, just circle the knees, the ankles, toes, hips. Let's come over to the bar. So at your house, you probably don't have a bar, but you probably have a countertop that you can do this on. So a countertop or a table or the back of a couch or chair. So we're going to do the same series here like this. This time we'll be able to rest our foot rather than holding the strap or laying on our back. We're going to stand up, bring the right foot up onto the surface that you've chosen. Standing up tall. And then maybe taking the thumb into the hip and just coming forward if you can hinge forward. Keeping your long neutral spine. Nice steady breath. Coming back up, and we'll take a twist. So arms could just be open, palms facing upward. So keep lengthening down through this hip. So you might notice that it wants to hike up. Just let it lengthen down. You can bend the knee a little bit in order to find that movement in the hip. And then turning back to face yourself. And then we'll bring the leg out to the side and rest it on the bar or on the table or whatever you're using. Toes of your left foot are pointing straight ahead, reaching up, tucking your right elbow maybe into the inner thigh, and feeling the length all the way up from the sole of the foot, all the way up through the fingertips. So a little side bend here. We didn't do that in the other poses. That's okay. And coming back up, and we'll step off that surface. You could take a little forward bend in the middle here. And then come back up, and we'll stand on the right foot, bring the left foot up onto the table or whatever you're using. Finding your long, tall spine. Again, if you're coming forward, keeping the hips level, it's coming forward with your heart, your long spine hinging forward at the hip. What would happen if you rounded? So you could intentionally round. If you do it and it's and you're dropping your head, you'll probably notice that your breath gets kind of less comfortable. So coming back to this long neutral spine. And then coming back up, we'll take the twist. So right arm comes forward, left arm back, palms facing open. Breathing, so just turning the spine and then turning back. We'll bring the left foot forward of the body for this side stretch. That might be enough, or you could also come into this stretch, keeping maybe the left elbow kind of pressing into the inner thigh. Keeping your neck long. And releasing. And stepping off the bar. Just coming into a forward bend, lengthening back. And walking forward, bringing the elbows onto the table or the bar. Stretching into your armpits and the upper arms. Kind of widening and broadening in the middle of the back. Maybe the fingertips are pressing together, palms apart, breathing. And releasing it. And shaking it out, letting it go. Let's come onto our back here by the wall so that we can bring the legs up the wall. So walk your hips a little close to so you're kind of snuggled up next to the wall, and then turn and bring your legs up the wall. So find a spot where you can do this. Hopefully you have some room around you. You might have to bring your device with you, but find a place where you can bring your legs up the wall and keep your same neutral spinal position. So you're not rolling up the hips. You're letting them settle back towards the floor. You could bring your arms up and over and just stretch for a moment. And then maybe you could bend your knees and bring the soles of the feet up against the wall and lift the hips up. So you're coming into kind of like a modified shoulder stand kind of position with the legs on the wall. Tucking your shoulders under. And keeping the neck from flattening out. And then just slowly roll back down. And straighten the legs up. And rest for a moment. And then bring your legs into like a straddle position. So it helps if you're really snug up against the wall. So maybe flexing your feet. So maybe you can feel how you can move the pelvis here. So you can kind of press the tailbone back towards the floor, and you'll feel the arch in your low back. And then you can kind of feel how you can press the lower back into the floor and take that arch out. So find the place where you feel kind of somewhere in the middle, like you can feel a neutral position between the flattening and the arching. Maybe the arms come up and over. Breathing. And then bring your hands underneath your knees and bend your knees and draw your feet together. The soles of the feet come together like a cobbler's pose, pressing into your, you could press into your inner thighs. And then let's roll onto our side. And we'll come away from the wall. And come back out to our spot on the floor. And then we're going to get the ball. We're going to get this ball, which is a child-sized miniature basketball. And we're going to do some ball rolling. So let's take the ball. Let's start with the ball in the lower body. So we'll bring it underneath the left buttock. And just rolling out the muscles in your buttock and your outer hip, your rotators. Sometimes it's good to just stop and pause and find a spot and kind of drape your body weight over the ball. Sometimes it feels good to roll. Just working with the kind of the release of tension via the ball. So if your ball is really, really hard, it might be hard to soften at all against it. And if it's too soft and squishy, you might not be feeling much. So finding the right amount of air in the ball to experience this in a way that is beneficial for you. And then let's turn onto our side and bring the ball into the outer thigh, your IT band, rolling from the hip all the way down to the knee. Rolling into that tissue. It's pretty tight, it's pretty intense, so just breathing. Then you could come over onto the front of your thigh, into the quadricep muscles and into the inner thigh muscles. So it helps to bring your other knee forward so you can kind of control how much body weight you're putting into the rolling. So getting down near the knee, you could even bend your knee and feel it that way. You can also come down onto forearms. A couple more breaths there in the quads. And then let's come off the ball. And we'll come to the other side. So bring it underneath the opposite buttock. And just feeling the ball pressing into the hip rotator muscles, into the glutes. Maybe rolling or just draping over it. Use your hands to kind of take a little of the body weight out if you need to. And then let's come onto the side of the leg. So I would step the left foot in front and roll up and down. To that pretty tight area of the leg, the iliotibial band. Going all the way to the knee and up to the hip, and then turning over, you could bring your left knee forward and roll into the quadriceps, into the front of the thigh. And then maybe into your inner thigh muscles as well. Then coming up and off the ball, let's try rolling into the calves. I find this a little harder to get a good amount of pressure into the ball, but try it. Just bring the ball underneath your calf, say on the left side, and let it roll back and forth. Do a little cross fiber. And then up and down. You can flex your foot or try pointing your toe, just noticing the difference. Maybe behind the knee a little bit, into that tissue. And then switch legs, bringing it underneath the right calf muscles. Maybe a little back and forth, side to side. Maybe up behind the knee. And then take the ball out. We're going to bring it into our back, but before we do that, let's take it into the forehead. So come into like a prayer position and bring the ball underneath your head, rolling side to side over the eyebrows, the forehead. Giving yourself a little facial massage to get my hair out of the way. Getting it over your brow can feel pretty good. And into the temples on either side. And then maybe down into the cheeks, into the jaw muscles. You can just rest on it, it feels good. And over to the other side. And back, maybe back one more time up to the forehead and the brow. Into the temples. And, oh, that just felt really good. Now take the ball and bring it behind your upper back, bringing the hands back. And let's roll up and down on the spine for a minute. Maybe coming into this bridge pose with the ball in the upper back. And then you could just roll. Maybe a little bit side to side, across the middle of the upper back. Supporting your head, you could come into a little bit of a back bend over the ball. Maybe coming all the way into fish over a ball with a pillow underneath the head, or letting your head come to the floor, but supporting the head, so don't let it dangle. And then coming back up, and let's take the ball out and bring it underneath the back of the head. And then just starting to come towards Shavasana, just letting your body start to relax, bringing it underneath the back of the skull and the neck. Just breathing, starting to wind down towards our final resting pose. Feel the breath. And then take that ball out, setting it off to the side. And just let your arms come down by your sides, backs of the hands on the floor, stretching out into your final resting pose, Shavasana, your corpse position. You might start with the eyes open and just allow the body to settle back, and then you might feel like closing the eyes. I'm going to come to a seated position. Stay in your corpse pose for a few moments. I'll talk you through. So just feeling the back of the head against the floor, heavy. So feel the full weight of your head, which is probably somewhere around 17 pounds, 17 pounds. I was going to say 15, but I said 17. Somewhere around there. So feeling the whole head just softening against the floor and your face just relaxing. Almost like the skin of your face is just draped over the skull. There's no tension anywhere. And you've just rolled it out, so just let it soften. Let your jaw relax. And the eyeballs, just feel your eyeballs kind of settling back into the skull. So all the little muscles behind the eyes softening and relaxing. You might let your eyelids close. And then feeling the front of your chest is widening. You can feel your shoulder blades. Feel the back of your ribs against the floor. Maybe they can be heavier and more of the surface area of the back of your body can soften against the floor. Feeling soft in your belly. And feeling the rise and fall of the chest and the belly with your breath. Just feeling the breath coming in and out of your body over and over again. And then here on your back, bring your attention to your intention. So pausing here to recall your intention for practice this evening. Taking a breath. And then just kind of in your mind's eye, kind of holding your intention up, like you're holding it up in the light. And then as you come back to your seat, bring it with you. You could even bring your hands together, kind of as you come to your seat. You could bring your hands together like you're holding that intention. And just pause and bring your attention to it. And then just let it go. Let it go. Let your intention go. It served you for this hour and 15 minutes. So coming back to your seat here, feeling your seat heavy and your long spine, and finding your breath. And then bringing hands together at your heart. Gently bringing the palms together, feeling your palms touching each other. You could rub the palms together to feel them even more, creating a little bit of heat between your palms, a little bit of energy. And then just bring your hands over your eyes. Let's do it one more time. Rubbing the palms together. You can feel the heat. And then take that and bring it to your heart. Bring your palms, your hands to your heart. Bring in some of that good warmth and good energy that you just generated. And then hands together again at the heart. Just bowing your head to your own practice tonight, to your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you for joining in, and I hope that the rest of your evening is relaxing and wonderful. Namaste.